Welcome to Halftime Speech, Episode 9. We're going to be talking about our NBA free agency predictions. So I've got a list of the top free agents this year. It's kind of a weaker class, to be honest, because like the top three guys have player options. But we're going to be talking about where we think each free agent is going to go. So let's get it started.
All right, moving on to James Harden and Bradley Beal.
So I did both these guys at once because in this scenario that me and Carlos have, we're going to be doing a sign and trade for Bradley Beal and James Harden. So like a flip flop, and there's probably gonna be some more assets involved, but that's kind of just the basics. We're not going to be getting into the assets and the depth of the trade. But James Harden for
I can
Bradley
see
Beal
Philly.
sign and trade is what we have going on.
I can see Philly making this move mainly for money too. They can get some more, trade some more pieces off, get some more cap space, sign some more free agents in later years.
Philly should really get rid of Tobias Harris. His
That's what
contract
I'm
is
thinking.
so bad.
Right, he's a great player, but it's not worth the contract.
Yeah, he's not even close to what his contract says. All right, so James Harden going to the Wizards and Bradley Beal going to the 76ers in this scenario. All right, moving on to Kyrie Irving. We have him staying with the Nets. I think he's going to accept his player option and then see how the season goes, and then he'll be unrestricted the following year in 2023. So if the season is kind of been going the way it has been going, then I see him leaving next year. But I think this year he accepts his player option, runs it back with KD one more time. If it goes bad, he leaves. If it goes good, he signs a longer extension with the Nets.
Completely agree.
I think Kyrie Irving's I mean, he could go anywhere and make them contenders or at least
He's
playoff teams. But
top five point guard when healthy and playing. That's for
yeah,
sure.
he can take over a game. He can win you a game by himself, but he also needs to, kind of work
Play.
well with other players. I mean, he worked well with LeBron, but I mean that was LeBron. LeBron kind of works well with any other star, but him and KD and then adding James Harden is kind of like a bunch of guys that want to be the one, like the best player on the team. It doesn't really fit well, and he needs to learn to be a second option, kind of like James Harden. So, all right, now we're gonna be moving on to Zach Levine, currently on the Bulls. He's unrestricted. We have him going to the Mavericks. I want to hear what you have to say about this one.
Zach going to the Mavs. Well, we talked about this the other day, and we were talking about when we were making this list. It's the piece that the Mavs need. They need a big man, but they also still need more help. We could get it. They're going to lose a few players like Brunson most likely in this free agency. So the help of Zach will be great, and we know he doesn't want to stay on the Bulls much longer. They're cutie. They have good pieces, but they don't have a far deep playoff run contender lineup. They're looking like. So moving to the Mavs is looking like the best option for him if he wants to get a ring or a deep playoff push.
Yeah, I think Zach Levine to the Mavs has been rumored for. It's been going around for a little bit now, and I think it just makes sense. Luka needs a second star, um, and I think they also need a big man because I don't really like Dwight Powell starting. But if they get away with signing like a mediocre or like a good, like they don't need like an amazing big, but I think they just need a good big man and then a
Like
second
a Brooke
star,
Lopez.
like a Brooke Lopez. Yeah, I think just somebody like that would be good with, and
Right.
then
Someone who could block
a
shots,
second
could
star
rebound.
because Jalen Brunson is not a second star. I love Jalen Brunson. I like the way he plays, and I just really like him a lot. He has a lot of potential. He's just not a second star for a championship team as of right now.
To be honest, the Mavs could try to pursue Rudy Gobert in a trade,
I would like that.
considering he wants to leave Utah if Donovan stays.
I'm just not sure what trade assets they have that the Jazz would want because
Yeah,
they would probably try to make the Jazz or the Jazz would probably try to make Donovan Mitchell happy because they'd want to keep him long term. and Donovan Mitchell isn't happy right now, so they would want to try to keep him long term. And I don't think the Mavericks really don't have that much assets. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. kind of mid. I mean, their starters were like Luka, Jalen, and you had like Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell.
I mean, it depends on who they want to keep here. Their defensive big man who doesn't fit well with their offense because he can't play that five out well, and he doesn't do good on pickups for defense. He's only good in the paint.
Yeah,
So
they could
Utah,
do like a sign and trade with Jalen Brunson.
that's what I'm thinking right here. I mean, it depends if they want to keep Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. I feel like if they want to keep a shooting guard but still keep Rudy Gobert, do like a trade with Brunson, and Mavs can add something else to the trade, like a pick, maybe Tim, and that adds more help to Luka.
Yeah, I like Rudy Gobert. I can't really think of off the top of my head what would work for that. 'Cause the Mavs really don't have that much assets, but I would do like the fit. But Zach LaVine and Luka I think would also work very well together. All right, let's move on to T.J. Warren. We have him going to the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers are going to be looking to get as much as they can right now for Dame. They want to win now. Dame's like if they don't do it this season, Dame's probably gone. To be honest, he's been rumored to go for a while, and I'm not sure when I'm not sure when he's a free agent, but I don't think that the Trailblazers are getting rid of him.
But didn't he just sign a new contract last year?
He might have. I'm not super sure about that. But I like T.J. Warren. The last time we saw him play was the bubble when he went crazy. He's been like quietly super consistent throughout his entire career. Like even when he was on the Suns, he was 20 points per game. Moved to the Pacers, still 20 points per game. Went to the bubble, averaged like 35 points per game in the bubble. He was really good in the bubble, and he's just been hurt for 2 seasons. So if he can come back healthy, kind of the consistent T.J. Warren that he's been throughout his career, I think that's a very good start to help Damian Lillard.
You know, I can say the same thing about Jamal Murray. Amazing player that was also he was really underrated for how well he played in the bubble. No one peeps at that this much these days. He did amazing in the bubble, and now that he's injured, it sucks for the Nuggets. But I see when he comes back, I could see a good run. I could see an amazing run.
Oh yeah, next year Nuggets. I mean, Nuggets might be my early championship prediction. I mean, just like off the top of my head, you'll have Jamal Murray coming back. You'll have Michael Porter Jr. coming back. You have Aaron Gordon still, and then Jokic off a 2-time MVP. If they can get like a 2 guard, because like I like Will Barton as a 6-man maybe, but if they can get a 2 guard along with those guys coming back healthy, that's so good. So, let's move on to DeAndre Ayton. And I thought a lot about this. This could go anywhere. He could go somewhere else. It's rumored that he wants to leave the Suns. Probably want to keep him. I mean, it was his first round pick, but I could see a sign and trade. I think a sign and trade is realistic with Ayton. But in this scenario, we have the Suns matching whatever offer that DeAndre Ayton accepts, which keeps him on the Suns. And they've been contenders. Chris Paul's still under contract. They're going to be good next year. So they just want to win now. And DeAndre Ayton is I mean, you can easily accept any offer, and I'd be fine with it. So I just think he stays. He really could go anywhere.
Right. It's just the thing with DeAndre Ayton. He wants too much money, and he's not worth that much. It's too early in a career to even want that much money.
I actually heard somewhere. I'm not sure if it's like a reliable source or anything, but I heard that the Atlanta Hawks were interested. And
yeah. I heard that for Clint Capella sign and trade with.
As a Hawks fan, like I don't really want it. Like I would love DeAndre Ayton, but I think it's just going to cost too much for us, and we need more of a scorer. Because Clint Capella's good enough. I mean, Clint Capela's a good player. I mean, he's a really good player. He's easily a top 10, top 12 center in the league, and so like Clint Capella is fine. DeAndre Ayton's not much better than Clint. I think he is better, but not by a whole lot. So just kind of getting rid of Clint for DeAndre Ayton just to pay a lot more money, and then kind of sacrifice trade assets just to upgrade by a little bit at a position you don't need to upgrade at is a bad idea. Again, I'm not sure if the source I saw it from was reliable or not, but if
No, I've heard that same thing from multiple other sources that
yeah,
they're thinking about how they want to trade like that, and it could work out, but it would work out for both teams in a decent run. But in a long run, it doesn't work out for neither.
the Hawks have assets, it just
Yeah, that's what
it
I'm
doesn't.
saying. But getting rid of Clint Capella for DeAndre Ayton, it may work as like on paper it looks nice, but in the long run, it does not work out for them at all.
I think the Hawks should go for somebody like Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with that. Getting more trade help on the guard position and scoring wise will be insane.
I really wish Marcus Smart was a free agent or available. See, he'd fit so well. Defensive Player of the Year would go right next to Trey Young. That'd be so good. All right, let's move on to Mo Bamba now. We have him on the Hornets. I think he leaves. I don't like the Magic might end up drafting another big man, and it's just going to be clogged. I don't think the Magic keep Mo Bamba. I really like Mo Bamba. He's been progressing every year, and he's kind of been quietly getting better every single season. He's got a jump shot. He's a really good shot blocker. So, and he's super lengthy. It's just crazy. So I see him leaving. Hornets are the best fit in my opinion. Play alongside LaMelo. LaMelo's gonna get you some open jump shots, which he can knock down. I see this being very realistic.
I can see a lot of things happening with the Hornets, man. Honestly, they have great young talent, and Lamelo as a point guard, he's amazing. People call him overrated, but that's just hate. He's a playmaking point guard, and he's tall, and he can shoot. He has everything you need.
Yeah, I think Mo Bamba fits really well with the Hornets. And the Magic just getting too clogged up with young talent. He's kind of getting the Nerlens Noel treatment, where the 76ers drafted Nerlens with a lot of potential, but also had Joel Embiid, and then just barely gave Nerlens any playing time at all. And that's kind of what they've done with Mo Bamba. With Vucevic, he barely played, and then now with Wendell Carter. I mean, Wendell Carter he's played better. They're the same draft class. I'm pretty sure they were drafted back to back actually, and or maybe I think Mo Bamba was 5, Wendell was 7 in that draft class, and now they're on the same team, and it's just kind of not getting Mo Bamba enough playing time. So I think Mo Bamba leaves, and I think the Hornets are the best fit.
That's fine. I
Yeah.
completely agree with saying
So
that.
let's move on to Dennis Schroeder. Um,
The person who I kept mistaken for Rajon Rondo.
we have the Suns. I mean, he's a veteran point guard, not going to be worth a lot of money. So
I could just see him as a backup.
I mean, when he was on the Thunder, he was amazing backup. And he should have won Sixth Man of the Year, in my opinion, over Montrezl Harrell. But he was runner up. I think he should have won, but it doesn't really matter. So
You know how these awards
he's
work.
displayed that he's best as a six man, and a six man for the Suns. If they just pay a little bit extra money, just a little bit to get Dennis Schroeder, I think this is a really good pickup for them as a backup
It
one.
could work out. Two veteran point guards, and one is their six man is working out really well. That could be such great talent they need.
Yeah. I really like that fit. There's not much to say about it. Just he could go a lot of other places too. Let's go Serge Ibaka. We have the Lakers.
Uh,
Lakers. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen. They say they want to keep Russell Westbrook.
I don't like it. I don't.
I think they're just saying that because it's gonna be so hard for them to trade him anyways. So I think they're just saying they want to keep him.
They're
But
gonna have to. They can't. He has such a huge contract. No one wants it. He's not worth much either.
yeah, he had a bad season. I mean, he only had a couple good games this season. He was super inefficient. Just so Serge Ibaka, I think the Lakers just are known to sign these veteran players that are kind of washed at this point. So it's not much to say about this. He could go a few other places. Just I got the Lakers at this just right now. He just seems
Yeah,
like the type of
I,
dude to
I,
go there.
it's fine with me. I don't like it fully. I think it's better than what they have this year, but they need more than just him for help. They
Yeah,
need some more young talent they could bring along.
for sure. I mean, I still don't see them being that good. I think they can be like a low playoff team when fully healthy, like a mid playoff team. But I don't.
If Westbrook can actually play well, I could see them doing better, having a better record, actually making playoffs this year. Maybe be a little dangerous in the playoffs due to the talent they have.
It's
But
Westbrook is still good. He's just it's a horrible fit, and like
they don't have much playmaking.
when Braun and Anthony Davis were out, he played good by himself. But when he plays with other stars, it's not very good, and that's you need to play with other stars to win a championship. So
Personally, my opinion, I thought we should have kept Westbrook as a sixth man on the Lakers, so he could just carry the ball and be ball dominant whenever he's on the floor, and then have Rajon Rondo as the starting point guard because that worked well with their championship run.
yeah, but then they got rid of Rajon Rondo for a bag of
I
chips.
know, and it just didn't make sense to me. I was confused. I for sure thought Rondo would have been a better fit with that Lakers team.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Nicholas Claxton. Young big man. I like Isaiah Stewart a lot on the Pistons, but I like him more like as a bench big. That would be perfect. He would be a really good bench big. And then Nicholas Claxton starting, it'd be like Cade, and then like Jaden Ivey or Shaden Sharp, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, or trade Jeremy Grant for somebody else, and then Nicholas Claxton. That's a deadly lineup. I actually
That
like
is
that.
it's
The
killer.
the Pistons rebuild is going very good. So
Yes, and
I
they're doing
think
it slowly, which is nice. They're not trying to rush it.
and Nicholas Claxton is unrestricted because he was a second round pick. So he was in the same draft class as like other free agents that are restricted, but he's a second round pick, so he's unrestricted. So I like the Pistons could go other places, but this is my prediction.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm liking how the Pistons are looking.
Oh yeah,
Like their future is bright for sure.
they're a playoff team in the next 2 years, I think.
I think 3 years. I feel like they're gonna like. It depends on what this next year holds for them.
I think they're gonna have like one this season. They're gonna be doing better. They're gonna have like a late lottery pick. Then they're gonna make the playoffs the next year. That's my prediction. Just
I think they go to play in and then they lose their play in game.
that. Yeah, I mean that is kind of late lottery. Um, I think that's a good prediction. That's kind of similar to what I have. I think they could do that. Let's move on to Ricky Rubio. I have him going back to the Cavs. They traded him because he tore his ACL when he was on a expiring contract. I think it's the same thing Joe Ingles is going to do. They just traded him for like a little bit of assets just for him to resign. And I think Joe Ingles isn't on that list, but I think Joe Ingles is going to go back to the Jazz, and I think Ricky Rubio is going to do the same thing. So just trade. They tore his ACL, trade him for assets just to resign back. So I mean, he could go other places, but I think he's going to go to the Cavaliers. He was really good before he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
All right, let's move on to Montrezl Harrell, former Six Man of the Year just 2 years ago, I believe. We have him re-signing. I think he'd be a good backup center. They probably lose. They'll probably lose Miles Bridges, um, which means PJ Washington would start at the four. And in this scenario, Mo Bamba's your starting five with, and then you have Montrezl Harrell as a backup. I like that a lot. And I
me
don't,
too. It
yeah,
seems well. It seems like a well fit.
it just seems realistic. I mean, he could go other places, but I'll just have him stay. And yeah, you feel the same way. So not much to say about that. Let's move on to Kyle Anderson. I have him leaving. I think the Timberwolves is really intriguing. You have like D'Lo, Ant, Kyle Anderson, McDaniels, and Cat in that order. Like as your starting five, I think that's really good. So
Yeah,
and
that's just solid as hell.
I can see him re-signing, but I can see him going other places too, like maybe the Trailblazers. But I just saw this Timberwolves fit, and I thought it was very intriguing. So I put this on my predictions.
Timberwolves got some key pieces, and if this was to happen, I feel like they get way more help. I want them to make a deep play. I feel like this could have been a good year for them, as we
Yeah,
predicted in our video before.
they need to
I
win
thought
this
this was
series.
right, but it just hasn't worked out for them.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to another Memphis Grizzlies player. Let's move on to Tyus Jones. I said Pelicans. I They need a point guard. I like Jose Alvarado, but I think Jose Alvarado off the bench is really good. Devonte Graham isn't really that good. I didn't want them to draft like a mediocre point guard because they already have that. Like they have Jose, Devonte Graham, Kira Lewis should come back from injury like in the middle of this season. So they have mediocre point guards, but Tyus Jones, when he was starting for the Grizzlies when John Morant was out, they went like 20-2. So they were super good when Tyus Jones would play. So I think Tyus Jones deserves the starting spot, and Pelicans is a perfect spot to do that. And I think if they get a starting point guard like Tyus Jones, it's just a really good fit, and they're going to be a playoff team without a doubt, in my opinion, with Tyus
No,
Jones.
100% agree. It's a necessary need for them right now.
Yeah, I believe in Tyus Jones a lot. So I mean, re-signing's a possibility, but the Grizzlies already have DeAnthony Melton to play backup point guard, and I like that. So Tyus Jones, I think could go. So let's move on to Thomas Bryant. We have him going to the Los Angeles Clippers. They just need a big man. Adding another, he's solid. I think he leaves the Wizards because the Wizards are getting a lot of depth. They have Daniel Gafford and Porzingis at the center. So Thomas Bryant isn't going to get much playing time. I think he's gone for sure, but Clippers is our prediction, but I don't really know where else he could go.
There's only a few other options when we're looking into this. We had like what, two other predictions, I say, right?
I mean, you could go to a lot of different teams and make a prediction for that, and it'd be realistic. He's just one of those guys. It's not going to cost a whole ton to get him. He is what he is. He's still like a little young, but I think like he doesn't have potential to get like a lot better. But he's still really good offensive center. So I mean, maybe play him at the power forward. He could shoot a little bit. He's just a really good offensive center and a liability on defense. So that's what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
But hey, the Clippers already have defense. They have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. So
Right. I can't wait to see a healthy Kawhi.
oh yeah, we haven't seen him this year. I mean, I wonder if they can win a ring. I don't know how many people have won 3 championships on 3 different teams with 3 Finals MVPs. I don't know. Has anybody else done
Oh,
that?
LeBron.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, LeBron did do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. I mean, LeBron has 4 rings though, so LeBron has 4 Finals MVPs. But it's like, well, I mean, that's better than what Kawhi would do in this scenario. But like
It's still
this one,
impressive to do either way.
yeah, this one's just more interesting because it's 3 rings on 3 different teams. LeBron did 4 teams on 4 rings on 3 different teams with 4 Finals MVPs. Kawhi would do 3 rings, 3 different teams, 3 Finals MVPs. That I think that'd just be like that'd be crazy to think of. Just means like he can work well with anybody. I think that just kind of proves what Kawhi can do if they win this championship. And Thomas Bryant is a very good player to help them do that. He's just good. So let's move on
Yeah,
to Chris
but
Boucher.
it's just the
Um,
Clippers' luck.
yeah, the Raptors have a lot of depth at this position. They have like Kim Birch, Precious Achua. They played Pascal at center. They have Yuta Watanabe, who I really like. He's really underrated. So I think Chris Boucher leaves for more opportunity, and being a front court partner with Sabonis is I think is good. He might end up coming off the bench behind Rashawn Holmes, but Rashawn Holmes has regressed, and Chris Boucher is still good. So I think like Chris Boucher at the 4, Sabonis at the 5, or vice versa, I think would be good for the Kings.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's perfect because Raptors, they like we just said, there's too much depth in that position right there. They have a good playoff team, but I don't think they have a good deep playoff team only because of the size and they don't have enough star talent. But with the Kings, they're slowly progressing. Like they're getting more and more talent. I don't know why people hated the Sabonis trade so much. I enjoyed it. Getting him out of the Pacers was so much better for him.
I mean, yeah, but Tyrese Halliburton has so much potential. I'm on the side of it was a bad trade for the Kings just because you got rid of
I mean,
Tyrese. I felt like they could have done that and kept Tyrese. But
potentially, yeah, but they probably wanted to secure the trade, which is honestly I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Like you said, Tyrese is amazing, and he had a lot of potential, and he started doing good when he got traded to the Pacers,
I mean,
which sucked a
he's
little
already
bit.
shown so much potential before that. I
Yeah,
just thought it
talk
was
about straight
stupid. It was
breakout
stupid for
season.
the Kings, in my opinion. So I'm on the side of that's a really bad trade for the Kings.
We still have time to see how it works out.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Sabonis is good. I just think Tyrese Halliburton has so much more potential than Sabonis. Tyrese Halliburton could be like a Darius Garland impact level type player on the Pacers. So let's move on to Colin Sexton. We we had a mutual agreement on this. Colin Sexton stays with the Cavs. We've been talking about it for years that Colin Sexton could get traded because of Darius Garland, but I think Colin Sexton's like a good enough scoring player, plays shooting guard alongside Darius Garland. I know Colin Sexton and Karis LeVert are really good friends, so that's another reason why Colin would want to stay. So I just think it's realistic, and I think it would be a good idea for the Cavs to bring him back. But he could also leave because it's been kind of rumored for a while that he could get traded. But he's coming off a torn ACL. Um, I think he's super underrated. I mean, he's been a really good scorer for a long time. So
I know he's talked about, and I know people enjoy him. They know he's a good player. He is still, in my opinion, he's rated about right. People don't see the impact he has on the team, let alone and the abilities he has, but they do know he's a great player when it comes down to basketball.
yep, that's kind of what we got to say about Colin. He's very underrated, and I think he stays, but could go somewhere else realistically. Let's move on to Miles Bridges now. I have him going to the Pistons. Again, like I said earlier, you would have Cade, then Shaden Sharp or Jaden Ivey, Sadiq Bey, Miles Bridges, Nicholas Claxton in this scenario, and that's just so good for the future. I think like you'll be championship contenders in like 5 years with this lineup. I would just love this so much. And Miles Bridges is from he's from Michigan, so he's from the area, which would make him want to sign there more. Let's just see if the Hornets want to bring him back, and a lot like they could just match any offer because he is restricted. So it, it could go any way. He could go back or he could leave. I don't know what the Hornets want, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Even if they do offer him that the same contract the Pistons would give him, I don't think he would choose to stay.
Yeah, but he's restricted. So
Yeah,
the Hornets could match like so if he accepts the Pistons offer and the Hornets want to keep him really bad and it's like they could just match it and he's back on the Hornets for whatever contract that he accepted for the Pistons but on the Hornets.
it's
So
rough.
it's a tough one, but I really like the Pistons fit. Let's move on to Dwight Howard. Um, we had him retiring slash not getting picked up. I think he's kind of done.
Yeah, there's no other. I don't think you see another team wanting him. He's old now.
Yeah.
Most teams are relying on their young talent, big men, which there are a lot of in the league now. It's just not a necessity to keep him because he's kind of dried out.
I mean, he's been around the league in the past few years on contending teams trying to win, and just hasn't worked. So I think I
You
don't
could
I think
say
he's done. I think
you could
he's a
say
Hall
he
of Famer.
won a ring.
He could go out as a Hall of Famer with a ring. The multiple time Defensive Player of the Year. He was super good on the Magic. I think it's a Hall of Fame career, and I think it ends. I think it's over. So that's kind of all we got to say about Dwight Howard. Let's move on to Victor Oladipo. Um, the I mean, he just ended his playoff run, came back for the playoffs. He was good. He was actually pretty good. He played really well against the Hawks, which is unfortunate for me because I'm a Hawks fan. But
Unfortunately,
it's just injuries are so unfortunate because he was all NBA player. Now he's I hate to say it, but he's kind of washed now. He's still solid, but he's kind of washed. But we both decided that the Nuggets were the best fit. It was between the Nuggets and Hawks, but we both thought the Nuggets were more realistic. Um, Not a super big contract, probably like a $10 million a year, maybe a little bit more.
uh, like
But
15, 15,
I think somewhere between 10 and 15, maybe in the middle, like at 12 and a half. But
12 and a half.
Victor Oladipo would slide right in with Jamal Murray coming back. Then you'd have Victor Oladipo. Then you'd have Michael Porter Jr. coming back, Aaron Gordon, and the two-time MVP Nikola Jokic. I think that's a
That's a
championship team.
killer team. That's a championship caliber team. That
Yep,
could help Jokic get MVP
for
again.
sure. I don't think he wins MVP again, even if he does have another really good season, just because of voters' fatigue is a thing. It's stupid, but that's just kind of how it is. But I think Victor Oladipo is a really good fit. But the Hawks were also another option. He would fit really well 3 and D type 2, which is what the Hawks need. So and I think the Hawks throw him an offer, but ultimately I think the Nuggets are more of a championship contender, so I think he ends up choosing them. Let's move on to Otto Porter. He's kind of the vet role player now in his career. He was good, like really good, a few years ago, but now he's like the vet role player. Um, the Bulls need forward depth, and that's what he will bring to the table. And I think he's really good forward depth. Um, but the Warriors have enough at that position, so they don't really need to bring him back. So I think the Bulls are a really good fit. I mean, you could talk me into multiple other teams though, but the Bulls I think is the best fit in my opinion.
No, I got that one.
Let's move on to Gary Payton. He currently on a finals run with the Warriors. I think the Warriors win in like 5 or 6. I just don't think the Celtics will win at all. But we have him staying. Kind of, he was in the G League for what, like 4 years. Kind of not good at all in the NBA. Then
We're in a cool
came to the
situation here.
Warriors. Came to the Warriors, potentially all defensive team. He was really good. Sucks that he got hurt by Dylan Brooks, but I think staying is the best option for him. I think staying is a good option for the Warriors. So backup point guard, sure. I think it's very good. He's really good. So I think it's a very good option for him. Very good option for the Warriors to stay.
It's solid. That's where he had his breakout year. I know he's going to enjoy it, and I know he loves Green Bay. Their fan base is amazing. The teammates are amazing. I know he's loving it down there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him going somewhere else, but I think the most realistic option is staying. And yeah, so let's move on to Mitchell Robinson, the second to last one. We have the Mavericks, like we talked about before when we were on Zach Levine. They need a good center, and Mitchell Robinson is that. Maybe a little bit better than good. He's a really good shot blocker. He's unrestricted because he was drafted in the second round. I believe actually he was the first pick of the second round in his respective draft class. But he could go a few places. He could stay. Knicks need a center, so they could offer him a contract. But I really like the fit with the Mavericks.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson on the Mavs is definitely a necessity and a need. Like we've been talking about most of this time, Luka needs more help. Same thing if they get Zach LaVine with it, then I think they have a full set roster to get a championship caliber team. They already made a deep run this time, as we saw. It's hard to guard Luka, and if he gets more offensive help, then it's just going to be even more crazy for them.
Yeah, if they end up landing Mitchell Robinson and Zach LaVine, I think they'll be contenders right alongside the Nuggets next year, and like the Warriors also next year, and the Clippers fully healthy next year. So I think those are like the four big powerhouses next year. If this scenario happens where VO goes to the Nuggets and then Zach LaVine and Mitchell Robinson goes to the Mavericks, I think that's what happens if that's the case. Is those are the four contenders in the West. So let's move on to a player that is currently on the Mavericks, Jalen Brunson. I think he's gone, especially in this scenario. They brought in another guard, so he wouldn't start. So he would want to go unrestricted because he was a second rounder like a lot of these guys. We have him on the Rockets. I like Kevin Porter Jr. as a six man, like a Lou Will type. And then Jalen Brunson starting alongside Jalen Green, I think is just a really good fit. He's young-ish. And then, Rockets have the... What pick do they have? I think they have pick 3.
Yes, I believe 3.
Yeah, I think they have 3. So that can land them like Paolo Banchero. I think Paolo Banchero goes to the Rockets, and then you trade Christian Wood for like a small forward, a young small forward, or maybe you throw an offer at Miles Bridges, also, and then you'll have Jalen Brunson, Jalen Green, whatever 3 you decide to pick up, Paolo Banchero, Alperen Şengün. That's your starting 5. That's very good starting 5 for the future. You'll be a playoff team in a few years.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to say they're a playoff team now. No.
No.
I would not.
They are not ready for that. But with the addition of Jalen Brunson, their future is bright, and their rebuild, I think it's shorter. So I think with Jalen Brunson, they're closer to the playoffs. And Jalen Brunson's the type of dude to make the other guys on your team better. He's just really good. He's been good. He's been super underrated. He's been kind of under the shadow of Luka since they were in the same draft class. So,
right,
like same draft class, same team. He's kind of just not gotten attention because of Luka. So, this is our NBA free agency predictions. There's more free agents out there that weren't on this, but these are like the top ones. So, I mean, this is not going to be right completely. I think we're going to get a few right because we did do a lot, but it's not going to 100% be right. So, I mean, anything could happen. I see DeAndre Ayton, going somewhere else, or Tyus Jones not going to the Pelicans, or you can literally point at anything and say that we're wrong, and it could be realistic that we're wrong. So that this is what we thought of. So that's kind of all we got.
Yeah, it's a great list. Honestly, there's a few that I definitely think are guaranteed. I feel like the Ricky Rubio situation, guaranteed. Montrezl Harrell situation, guaranteed. And then I feel like Kyrie staying with the Nets is also guaranteed. Most of the people leaving here, I feel like will happen, not to the exact teams we said, but leaving for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of all we got for this episode. Episode 9. We're almost on episode 10. One more. Episode 10 will probably be out at the end of this week. So we're almost in double digits. So that's
almost there.
That's episode 9. Thanks for watching.